breaking political news that could shake up the 2016 race just as it's starting to get rolling. Arnold Schwarzenegger, the governor, is looking, if you believe the New York Post and their anonymous sources, that he has been talking openly about working on getting the constitutional rules changed that would allow him to run for president of these United States. What do you guys think?
Well, first of all, I'm massively in favor, but
somewhat biased.
A little biased. So that saves me a lot of the hassle of forging paperwork, et cetera. I like the idea of me running for president and the opposition team being like, oh, where do we start?
I know.
I mean, if you thought Schwarzenegger was bad, wait till you get a load of me.
Yeah, you'd start the campaign with like, you're going to hear a lot of things about me, and they're probably true.
But who knows? The American people might like that.
Right,
it
at
would
that
be
point,
refreshing,
they'd be like,
right?
yeah, great. Yeah.
At that point, I mean, the NSA has already leaked so much private information about us, the type of porn we watch, that whatever Cenk has done is not even that big of a deal.
No, I know. And actually, I'm looking forward to that because, like, I'm actually fairly, like, down the middle, right? So, like, if everybody's stuff is leaked, they'll be like, oh, Cenk's pretty,
Wow,
he's, like, really mild.
Guy. What an upstanding gentleman.
Yeah, I mean, everybody else is way perverted compared to him now that we find out what they're doing. Okay, so, look, back to the relevant people here. There's no way in the world Schwarzenegger is going to get a constitutional amendment. That's not even remotely possible on that issue, right? It's not like the country has to be on fire, like on Money on Politics, they're on fire, right? 9 out of 10 people agree, Republicans, Democrats, Independents. Is the country on fire? Like, we got to get Schwarzenegger to the White House. We got to make sure that they can run for office. But if he's talking about other means, a ruling of some sort, I don't know how that would happen.
It's apparently
right.
going.
Well, then I think it's much more doable, especially as Ted Cruz is definitely going to run for president in 2016, it appears.
Yeah.
And he was born in Canada. Now, he says, well, my mom was American, and then you get into those issues. It'd be nice if the court settled it. And then I have my own theory as to why we actually all can run for president as long as you're a U.S. citizen.
Which he has been for almost 3 decades. And really fast, before we go more into the commentary, just for our international audience who might not know why this is an issue, why can't he just run? In the Constitution, Article 2, Section 1, it says, no person except a natural-born citizen or a citizen of the United States at the time of the adoption of this Constitution shall be eligible to the office of president.
The most interesting part of the article, and again, it's who knows, is that this notion that legal experts say it's not completely clear. Forget what the courts would rule on what the language means. That anyone would just stop it. Like, is anyone going to successfully stop it, or would a court just say, let's just let it happen?
Well, here's how you determine that. If he was running as a Democrat, instantly 100 lawsuits would be started to stop it.
Yeah.
If he goes as a Republican, maybe.
No, they'll stop it because, of course, he's not nearly conservative enough. So,
Right.
Oh, you're saying the Republicans might? If they think that he can win.
I don't really see any demographic supporting Schwarzenegger if he were to run for president, though.
Maids.
Huh? Maids.
They love those
right?
actors.
Yeah.
I mean, think about how shady he was in that situation. Like, fathering a child, with his maid, and then, keeping it on the down low for all those years.
Yeah, Republicans would never embrace a politician who'd done something shady in terms of his family.
They probably would, but again, going back to Ben's point, he's just not conservave enough for that.
Yeah, but in
overall.
California, he was willing to bend when enough right-wing pressure was put on him.
I don't.
I mean, look at Takei. He was telling you about that yesterday.
The fake call. Oh no, something else. Never mind. But because you didn't talk to him about Howard, but there was the George Takei when he was on Howard Stern one time. He's on all the time. But they had a fake Schwarzenegger call in. And George Takei got into a long argument with the clearly fake Schwarzenegger. That's great.
Awesome.
That's pretty funny.
But you imagine that you would find a judge somewhere who would stop it, which means it would get appealed, which means at some point, at least an appellate court, imagine that a federal appellate court would look at it, and then the Supreme Court might just leave that ruling in place. But some judge somewhere, you couldn't do this, get to the primary stage, and not have some judge somewhere make a ruling.
Yeah. Well, actually, so that's where very rare instance of my legal background comes into play here. And that actually might happen, and I'll tell you why. Because the courts are very leery of making political decisions, okay? Anything that's in the realm of politics, they don't want to get involved with at all. So even the appellate court might say, that's a political issue, so we will not rule on it.
Right. What I'm saying is that somewhere Republicans will find a judge, even if it's a state judge in New Hampshire or Iowa, who will block it there.
I see.
And they'll find somebody, and then that'll have to get kicked up maybe through the states first. You're right. It might get to an appellate court that will that if a lower court said, I'm not going to do anything, the appellate court might also say, yeah, this is a political issue.
In which case he could
and we're gonna
possibly
stay
run.
away. Huh?
In which case he could
in
run.
which case he
Right,
could
which he could
run.
run.
and then
Or
the American people
alternatively-
would decide.
Yeah,
Now-
no, I totally agree, yeah.
Now, obviously, he hasn't come out and said he's going to do it. He did say about 3 years ago that he wanted to, so this is totally unconfirmed at this point. But I would have to imagine that if I was Ted Cruz, I would be keeping an eye on this, because right now, if nothing happens with Schwarzenegger and Ted Cruz wants to run in a couple of years, I don't think anyone's going to seriously challenge it. But if Schwarzenegger does, and as you're saying, some Republicans might try to challenge it, the way that they word a ruling, if a ruling does come out, could possibly also block Ted Cruz if it's worded in a particular way.
Why is Schwarzenegger not going to run for president?
Yes, I know.
Why is he not?
It's
It's
crazy
absurd.
talk.
He said he wants to.
No, but that was before he was outed for having sex with his maid and having an illegitimate child, which he didn't acknowledge. I mean, it's crazy. He's not running for president.
Let me throw.
He was a failed governor.
Well, okay. So look, let me
Sarah
throw a
Palin.
wild card out there, right? So you're right. I mean, his record as governor was not stellar. He's got the maid issues. He's, as Anna pointed out, way too centrist for the Republican base that's so rabid, right? They're like, well, did you kill anyone during the primaries?
We talk
No?
about Chris Christie, though.
Right.
Yeah, but
No.
Schwarzenegger made concession after concession, actually, to the Democratic legislature in California. I mean,
He believes that global warming is happening.
Yeah, right.
Done,
Yeah,
right?
done.
No. But the flip side to that,
he's got black friends.
okay, the wild card I'm throwing
He's
out
friends
is
with Terry Crews.
now remember that even with all those rabid guys in all those primaries, the last two ones, McCain and Romney ones, the one that was considered the most moderate, whether they actually were or not, won the primary because there was 12 guys who were massively right-wing and kind of one guy that was like a little less right-wing, and he won. So it's possible that Schwarzenegger, if Chris Christie doesn't run, whatever, can position himself there, but that's a 1
Calling it
100
today,
chance.
he wins the whole thing.
He's a joke. He's a joke. He was a joke before. He's a super joke now. His latest movie is apparently pretty good.
What?
Yeah.
Which movie?
Okay, the trailer
Expendables?
for that
Stallone
movie looks
prison movie.
horrible.
It's like
Oh, I'll
clearly
watch
a
it.
lot of fun.
I think it'd be
I just read a
interesting.
couple
Like
reviews. It's like
Stallone.
a fun B movie, but he's a joke. I can't buy this for half a second. And Romney, remember, he won, but he moved far to the right. He would have a much easier time. His move to the right easier to do than Schwarzenegger's, and Romney had 2008 to lose to sort of build up the conservative credibility.
Okay.
All right, my final point on this is that, I believe that he's right, though, on whether he can run, right? I think, of course, he can run. And the reason I say that, and I know people, come on, what the, of course. You just read the Constitution. John just read you the Constitution, where you have to be a natural-born citizen, right? And he was naturalized later, and hence not natural-born, same with me, etc. But that's in the earlier part of the Constitution. From time to time, we amend the Constitution. For example, one of the amendments is the 14th Amendment that says that we have equal protection under the law, and we're all promised due process. And so every citizen, including all the black citizens in the country who were not natural-born citizens because they were slaves, now have the same exact rights as natural-born citizens. That would mean that they could run for president, and so can we.